Ahoy, lonely mortals! Welcome to episode 33 of the Differently Wired Show. I'm your host, as always, Maximilian Derrat, and I'm wondering, it said just a second ago we had 27 people ready to watch, but then it just dipped down to 14. YouTube, what's going on? Stop tripping. Anyways, joining me as always, he is PhD. He is the man who has the skills to pay them bills. I gotta figure out another intro for you. I got better ones than that. He is John Tucker. John, what's going on?
Well, I'm just mulling over that intro. I'm wondering you haven't talked about my features and my fine white beard.
Yeah, in case you like, obviously, when you have seen John, guys, you've only seen the top of his head. But I mean, like, if you were to see the rest of him, I'm not sure if any of you ever seen the original Hercules movies. It's
There you go.
something something akin to that, like a slightly shorter version of Arnold Schwarzenegger in, what was it, Pumping Iron? Is that the movie? Anyways, um, come on, don't BS me. I was about to swear. All right, so before we get into the main topics of the day, I just got to do the usual stuff. Facebook page, we have one. Go, go and like it. I don't know why you haven't yet. I've been practicing impressions all day. I'm probably gonna be doing an impression reel as a separate video because people tell me that I do voices pretty well. But what does that have to do with anything? I'm all over the place today, which is especially appropriate once we get to our main topic. You'll see what I mean. Facebook page, like it. Link in the description box. Do it. Just do it. Discord page. I checked this morning. We are currently at 680 members, which is pretty good. I want to get to that lucky number 700. I mean, like, you get the point. If you haven't joined the Discord server yet, why not? It's an absolutely wonderful place to be. Everybody that I've talked to, whenever I've asked for constructive criticism on how to make the server better, like, almost nobody's really had anything bad to say. That when they go there, they're like, oh my god, I can't believe how nice everybody is here, how supportive everybody is here. And that's continuing to be the case. So if you are, if you want to hang out with nice people, or we're also partially a mental health server. If you want to go there and look for support, we have some support mechanisms in place. We have people who will listen to your problems. We have a specific role in the Discord server. If their name's highlighted in green, you can talk to them about their problems. They can refer you to resources. It's wonderful. So if you want to join the Discord server, there is a link in the description box below for that as well. And finally, I introduced this last week on this show. I mean, like, the show is the new show. I can't talk today. I introduced a new show a couple weeks ago called The Silver Lining. And basically what it is, it's a way for me to pump out weekly content where what I decided to do was I decided to compile a whole bunch of positive stories together and put them out every Sunday at around 4 o'clock p.m. And the whole purpose of that is to sort of convince people, hey, we need to start doing more stuff like this instead of increasingly adding to the negativity and toxicity of our online space. So in order for me to be able to do that, though, I need people to send me stories. And there have been a couple people that have been faithfully doing that. I want to give a shout out to Philip Homolka and Shy Violet, who have been doing that for me, and a couple others who have been helping me immeasurably. If you guys at any time come across a positive story that you think will enlighten people, make them feel a little bit better about humanity, please send it to me at any time to my email, which is maxderrat@yahoo.ca, or send it to me through Twitter, which is @maxderrat. And if at any point you forget what that information was, it's all, once again, in the description box below. So, that out of the way, let's get to the main topic of today. And our main topic is ADHD. I can't believe it's taken us this long to full-on talk about ADHD. I mean, we have talked about it tangentially many times, but we never had a show fully dedicated to the topic. Now, I don't want to take the lead on this one, as I normally do. For better or for worse, I do try to give John more time. But for this show in particular, I think it's really important to let John talk to us about his expertise, because in case you guys don't know, John doesn't just work for me. Thankfully, he'd probably drive himself insane. What he does as his main job, he's an ADHD-coach. So what he essentially does, well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to stop there. John, do you sort of want to tell people what it is that you do and sort of your experiences when it comes to ADHD coaching?
Sure. People come to me when their lives are in some sort of disarray. It doesn't matter really how old they are. I tend to talk more to adults, but sometimes it's mom and dad who have a child that they don't know what to do with. So they'll come and talk to me and say, "How can we force this guy to behave normally?" And I say, hold on a second. You're saying he probably has, or maybe he has, or he has a diagnosis of ADHD, and you want him not to have the diagnosis. Okay, so we have to have some reality checks here. So one of the things I will do, say if I'm talking to parents, is to get them to back away from making Junior behave like they think he should behave and try to understand the person that's there. So one of the things I'm fond of saying to parents is pretend this guy is 47 years old. He visits you and he's taking the two kids. How are you going to treat him? You're going to treat him with respect, right? Okay, that's what you do with this 7-year-old. Treat him with respect. Show him how to be respectful. So that's a kind of a message I have for parents who have that issue with their kids. More often, I am talking to individuals who are struggling with it. I notice Alex Phipps is talking in the chat room about his diagnosis. Well, Alex, you don't have to have a diagnosis to learn about that kind of being differently wired. When Max and I started this show, it wasn't about Asperger's and ADHD. It was about being differently wired. Differently wired is not a diagnosis. It's a very generic kind of term that covers people who might have this, who might have that. They might have fetal alcohol syndrome, they might have Tourette's, they might have a bit of this, they might have anxiety, depression, OCD, ODD, a whole minestrone soup of labels they can have, or none at all. The key thing is when they come to me, they're not satisfied that they're presenting to the world the way they feel. They're being judged, maybe harshly. They have good intent, but it doesn't come out right. They plan to do something, it doesn't quite work. They set up a schedule, they can't follow it. They get locked into avoiding techniques like booze. Sometimes people use video games and they just live in the world of video games because they don't want to face the other part of the world. It's too ugly, it's too scary, and so on and so forth. So it depends on how people present. But when they come to me, I don't do psychology. I don't do therapy. I coach them to find strategies to cope with whatever it is that's in the way of their happiness and their peace and their productivity. Could be relationships, could be brother, sister, could be a husband, wife, family, siblings, any sort of thing. But whatever it is, there's something going on that's making them feel kind of that not things are not working right. I don't know why they're not working right. What's interesting is that I don't tell them the answer. What it is, we work together and we uncover the route toward a more happy, productive life. And it's there. It's in front of them. They just maybe don't recognize it or they think it's in the way. I had a conversation with a guy who wants to get this job. And he looks at the website and he says, "Oh, it's so many things to choose from. I don't know how I'm going to pick which one to go for." And then he found a bunch of reasons which had nothing to do with the job why he wouldn't do it. Things about clothes, things about a whole pile of stuff. So what often happens if you're differently wired, but if you have ADHD, you face a world feeling kind of as though things are not working. And commonly what will happen is you'll get what are the so-called comorbidities. Things are rough, so people treat you badly. People don't understand you, so you react probably in anger or frustration, or you hide away. So in this coaching business, I'm not trying to make you like other people. That's stupid. That won't work, even though others may have tried to make you like other people. I don't try to do that. I try to allow you to come forward, allow you to show up and learn whatever tools and paddles and wings you need to fly, move through the world in a way that isn't as rough and problematic as it has been. So that's kind of an introduction to what I do when I coach. So again, back to Alex, you don't have to have the diagnosis necessarily to work on the issues from that point of view. But I want to go further into that question. I think we've alluded to before on this show, there is some point to getting the diagnosis if it helps you at school or at work. If it won't make any difference to work or school, if you don't require accommodations at work or school, reading about ADHD may be as good as getting an actual official diagnosis. However, I have noticed there are times when people have gone and gotten a diagnosis and they have a sense of relief because, oh, now I understand. Now I understand where this is coming from. Anyway, so that's a start, Max.
Yeah, it's yeah, well, just obviously I agree we about the getting the diagnosis and how that validates things. To have it come from a professional like that, it sort of makes it more difficult for other people to put down your quirky behavior just to poor discipline, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
you just raised poorly. Um, yeah. So in regards to your time coaching, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you this before I sort of get into the obvious questions. Why is it, John, that you wanted to coach people, and why specifically ADHD? Why was that your focus?
Good question. When I was very, very young, a long time ago, I was kind of an obnoxious kid. I always challenged stuff that came at me. I might have been really tiny, and people would say stuff, and I would wonder, is that really true? And then I would question them or argue. So, my big sisters I used to drive them crazy because I would challenge everything. And I found myself more comfortable with people who were not ordinary, like they were quirky or they were interesting or they were different. I found myself drawn to uh, people who had exceptional characteristics. They needed to be somehow bright. I needed to be able to talk to them and be impressed somehow by their minds. Um, so anyway, when I was in, I don't know, probably grade 9, I said, wow, I want to be a teacher. But I wanted to be a good teacher. And I found myself wanting to be a teacher to people that other teachers didn't like. Like they were kind of odd, or they were, uh, how should I say, they were probably disrespectful, or they would joke at stuff, or they would be a little bit defiant. I found those guys interesting.
Hmm.
Usually they were bored and they got fed up with the indoctrination that they were going through, where some people just wanted everybody to sit down and be quiet. And they said, well, why should I? I don't want to be like, I kind of like those guys. I kind of found them funny and interesting and creative and imaginative. I didn't know at the time when I was a teacher that there was such a thing as ADHD, but now looking back, I realized that that's what I was drawn to. Then I spent 25 years as a teacher and a coach. I was in the Navy for a while. Then I worked at government relations for a long time. While I was there, uh, one of my kids got diagnosed with ADHD, and then I started learning about it and realizing, wow, that's where I want to work. I want to work with those interesting people who are struggling, and I can help them bend and twist the stuff around them so it works, so they can navigate through the world better. And I love the work. It's fantastic because most of my clients don't realize the quality and the talent and the skill they can have and the joy they can achieve when we wrinkle out a few of the things that are in their way. It's fabulous work. I'll do it until I'm dead and maybe even longer. Who knows?
Into the afterlife. I'm sure
Into
there.
the afterlife.
Yeah, I'm sure there are archetypal beings that live in the astral plane that definitely need your help there, John. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm only being semi facetious when I say that. Actually, believe it or not, just because me personally, as somebody who has been your client in the past and sometimes in the present, I found that your help in regards to ADHD has been. You can't put a price on it. So, in regards to having ADHD, what you just said there about helping people that are diagnosed or maybe not yet diagnosed overcome certain symptoms, you say that once they're able to do that, they are able to use their talents to a degree that might surpass that of neurotypicals. Is that sort of accurate to say?
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You're saying they were overcoming. It's you may actually. That's
Sorry.
a good point.
Sorry, can
You
I just rephrase what I said there because I understand it might have been a little bit confusing.
absolutely.
Okay, so what I found personally as somebody that suffers with ADHD is that once I'm able to focus my attention in a way where I'm not sort of succumbing to the normal symptoms of ADHD, I find that I'm able to pay attention greater than
Mm.
that of the average person. That's one sort of thing that I can take pride in. Is that sort of something that's kind of common to everybody that has ADHD? Like they can hyper focus on one thing, but not on other things? Or is that sort of just something that's unique to me as somebody that's on the spectrum?
No, no, it's a trait that we see quite often.
Okay.
Uh, that's why folks that are um, surgeons who have ADHD and flick into hyperfocus can totally focus on a very long procedure because they're totally wrapped up in it. They're in the zone. They can be there a really long time. So there are the hyperfocus characteristic when you get it going means you can do your art all night, or you can compose music all night, or you can compose videos all day. You're in the zone, you're doing it, and it's you can take advantage of that. Now there's a price to pay in terms of the energy cost.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
need to learn ways to take care of yourself and not just completely, play video games for 48 hours or something. But yeah, hyperfocus is something clients can learn to draw on. I remember a good friend of mine who would do that at meetings, and he would be at a meeting for 3 hours, and he could quote you the whole meeting and explain stuff about it, and he thought about it, and it just blow you away. His ability to totally concentrate and remember.
Lucky him. Yeah, I
Mm.
okay. Well, that's good to know because I it just helps me get a better picture of ADHD overall. So now I know because I always just assumed that ADHD just meant that your brain was all over the place all the time. But if you are able to do one or two things in order to help focus your attention, then your ability to pay attention can be sort of your superpower. Um, Now, one other thing, like, just I gotta echo what you said about how focusing on something so much can be deleterious to your health. Um, Obviously, one thing that I do a lot as somebody that has ADHD and is prone to hyperfocus. For those of you who watch my other videos, you're probably aware of the fact that I'm a huge fan of Carl Jung. I've been
Hmm.
reading his book called Ion recently. It's about 270 pages long. I'm 80 pages in, and oh my god, just what I need to be more careful when I read that guy because when I do, it's almost like I described this to this psychologist that I talked to recently, and he seemed to agree that the way I described it was accurate. It's like somebody puts your fist inside your brain and slowly opens your fist. That's literally what it feels like physiologically when you're reading Jung. That's not exaggeration or hyperbole at all. That's literally what it feels like. And doing so has been deleterious to my health, my mental health
Mm.
in a way, because what Carl Jung does in the way that he writes is he completely reorganizes your cognitive functions. He makes you look at the world in a way that is both more beautiful and also more terrifying. And if you want to have a good idea of what that is like, read the first like I said, 80 pages or even 30 to 40 pages of a book called Ion, which is what I'm into right now. And but like, do so with caution. Uh,
Mm.
and that's just my personal example of how ADHD personally affects me. So, one other thing I want to do before we sort of get onto the other sections of the show, John, is obviously, I was just alluding to this briefly. You got to have certain strategies, certain you have to plan on how to deal with ADHD. Um, I imagine that with your clients, you see sort of certain patterns across all the people that you've dealt with. What methods have you found work the best amongst your wide clientele?
Broadly speaking, we need to get the emotions somehow in check. For instance, if you have, I don't know, a wound, and it's not hurting too much and it's not too dangerous. A health person says, "Oh, I see you have a cut on your hand. We'll put something on it and we'll bandage it." Okay, it's objective, and you look at it at the distance, 2 feet away. Yeah, we can fix that. Well, if you have a problem and you're worried about having the problem, now you've got two problems. You got the problem squared because you're worried about whatever that problem is, and you're worried about it. So it gets kind of um, rather reminds me of the fist in the brain kind of idea. You're sort of expanding on the issue. Okay, you can't do something. All right, let's figure out how to do that something. So there's a lot of emotional stuff in the way of your happiness if things are not going well for you. So one of the things we see happening with young men, I think more than young women, I'm not sure, but the business of avoiding the world,
Yeah.
just staying out of the world.
Yeah, that's
Like
more of a male problem. Yeah.
I think it is, but it's very destructive because it means you're not getting air, exercise. You're missing that one public health thing, which is fabulous, and that is a sense of community and comfort and being able to draw on the goodwill of your neighbors across the street. All the stuff that goes with having a friendly environment you don't have. So it's really horrible if emotions get in the way. Now, just by an odd coincidence, I got an email today from Psych Central, which I kind of follow, by Margarita Tartrosky. Psych Central is a website anyone can sign up to. But the thing was, how the article is entitled "How to Make It Easier to Feel Your Feelings." And I love this little thing. She says we tend to overcomplicate the process of connecting our emotions. We blow it up in our minds. We think it's going to be too big, too much, so we naturally avoid our feelings because who wants to dive headfirst to an abyss? We think feeling our emotions will be overwhelming and all-consuming, and sometimes it is both. Sometimes that's because it's been a while since we've acknowledged what's happening inside our hearts, and we essentially got a surplus of emotions. Now, what she's saying, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it is only a couple of minutes to read. She's saying, okay, you got a problem and you're bugged by something. Acknowledge it and look at it, put it in your hand, look out there and say, oh, I am worried about going to the dance in the dress I'm going to wear. Max, you will say that all the time, right? No, I don't mean that. But, you're,
I'm not that
you say,
androgynous, John.
so you got this issue. Okay, name the issue. We talked about that the other day. Name the issue and then look at it dispassionately. Now, she has a couple of suggestions for getting feelings to behave themselves. Number one, you allow them to happen. You don't try to squish on them. So one of the things she talks about is set a timer for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes to journal about the feelings. Write it down. We've said that before. Focus on what's happening in your body as you have the feeling. And she also mentions one of my favorite things is doing the body scan by John Kabat-Zinn. That's all over the web. It's a 30-minute thing from this guy who does mindfulness-based stress reduction, John Kabat-Zinn. And if you don't have 30 minutes, there's actually in this article I'm referring to a 3-minute audio from the UCLA Mindfulness Awareness Research Center. The 3-minute audio, I checked it out today. It's very good. So there's a couple of little things you can do to acknowledge that your emotions are just emotions. You can sort of logically step back from them, allow them to happen, and let them run their course in some sort of safe way. I think of an example of, say, for instance, a dear family member or cousin or somebody has passed away. You can moan and groan all you want. It's not going to change. You have to accept that you will feel the grief of whatever that is. Grief has to run its course. You allow it to happen. You're still going to have dinner. You're still going to go to sleep. You're still going to live your life as best you can. But she, Stastrovsky, is making a case for allow the emotions in, look at them, noodle them, write them down, and so on, and connect with your body. So that's kind of a way of dealing with some of the problems that are associated with feeling overwhelmed by the world.
That's maybe something I personally need to take to heart, because oftentimes when I get those negative emotions, I suppress them just for the sake of maintaining household order and also
Hmm.
for maintaining my own sense of sanity. But
Hmm.
oftentimes I just find myself trying to suppress those emotions, spending more time doing that than being more constructive. But I suppose the method they just sort of suggested there by that woman, Margarita, um, just let them happen and then take a few minutes to write down what it's like. That might be
Sure.
something therapeutic that I need to try. There was one other thing that I wanted to ask you, John. A very small thing. Oh yeah. So I don't know sometimes if you notice this about me, John, or if anybody else notices this when I'm talking uh, during the live shows. Sometimes I find it very, very easy to speak without any pauses or uhs. I can just stream my thoughts out, no problem. Like it's almost as if I'm just reading off a page. I can speak like that, but other times I just find myself constantly needing to pause because it feels like my mind is wandering elsewhere to think about something while I'm trying to talk to somebody, that I lose my train of thought. Is that something that's sort of common to people that have ADHD? Do you sort of notice that in your clients that they have a hard time talking, like being on this?
Yes,
Oh yeah.
it does vary a lot. In fact, I've seen that this week in a couple of cases where what tends to be going on most often is that folks with these who are differently wired are usually very bright and creative. I don't have any clients that don't have some form of giftedness about them. Now, the problem with ADHD and the lack of breaks on the thought process is that you can think of many things very quickly. So what that means is if you're facing a danger, you can think of a huge number of possible scenarios of danger. So a neurotypical person is saying, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't cross the street now. I see a big truck coming." Well, if you have ADHD, it's not a truck. It's all kinds of sounds. It's lightning. It's thunder. It's a manhole cover going to open up and swallow you, and monsters. I don't know. It's all kinds of stuff in your brain. So
Yeah.
hard to sort it all out because what happens is the overwhelming nature of all these images tends to weigh down on you emotionally. It tends to overwhelm, and then it makes you speechless. And so what's happening is while you're trying to have a normal conversation with this person in front of you, there are 40 things going through your brain and you're trying to sort through them all. So it makes your speech slow. It's
Yes.
hard to focus attention. It's hard to focus your speech because your brain's everywhere.
Okay. I know some of my family members are actually listening to this right now. Everything that John just said, if you ever want to know exactly what my brain is like on a daily basis, that's exactly what it is. There's so many different things going on in my brain at once that in order to piece all those things together into something coherent when I'm speaking to somebody, it's a real psychically taxing task. Sorry for the that's not alliteration, but you know what I mean. Um,
Yep. No,
yeah, that's literally what it's like. And John, I want to thank you for sort of articulating that because it personally, when you said that, it just made my personal struggles feel validated, and I'm sure you did that for a whole bunch of other people as well. God, there's so many other things I want to talk about in regards to ADHD. Like just having you talk for the last half an hour or so, John. Uh, I have so many other questions. I suppose I probably should have asked you over all these years when I've been having these problems, because obviously this is your area of expertise. But anyways, we do have to move on. We do have some people waiting to call us now. I'm just gonna let you guys know because we have people waiting. I originally planned to not do the email section as we normally do it, but I want to let the people that knew. I want to see. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I want to let people know that those who emailed in specifically for this topic, we will be getting to your emails next week. It's just unfortunately you emailed them a little bit too late. We already had the show notes ready to go, and unfortunately, we if we planned to include the emails, it would have taken too much more time. But I promise you all, we will get to them next week. But aside from that, like any other time in the future, we do have a regular mailbag segment for anybody who might be joining us right now. And in case you ever want to send in a question in regards to the main topic, or it can be something completely unrelated to the main topic, just something in regards to your own personal experiences, being differently wired or being around other differently wired people, we want to hear from you. We want to discuss your issues. We want to provide advice where we can. And the best way for you guys to do that is to send in your questions or concerns to us to the email address that you see on screen now, which is maxderrat@yahoo.ca. And also, if you happen to forget about it later on in the show, the email address is in the description box below. So, with that out of the way, let's move on to the final segment of the show today, which is the call-in segment. So, just want to remind you guys, if you ever want to be a part of the call-in segment, it's really, really easy. All you have to do is go to our Discord server. Once again, the link is in the description box. And once you get there, if you look to the left side of your screen right now, you'll see a bunch of text chats on the left side. So if you start from the top, you'll see media chat, debate channel, music chat. If you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see a text chat highlighted there that says call in sign up. Now, if you want to talk to John and I, every Wednesday at 10 a.m., we restart this text chat so that it looks the way that it does right now. If you want to talk to John and I on the show tonight, all you have to do is go there, put in your name, and then we'll go in order of those who signed up. It's really that simple. So, and finally, before we actually go over and do the call-in segment, I just want to remind you guys, hey, there's 62 of you watching and there's only 37 likes. Fix that. Please. S'il vous plaît. Thank you. All right. With that out of the way, I got to bring the music back on. So we're just going to switch over to Discord real quick. So if you guys just hang tight, we will be right back. And we are back. See, it's so simple. If we were corporate shills, we'd put like an ad in there or something, but we're not. We're strong, independent. Well, I was about to say strong, independent citizens or whatever, but that would only be me. John is a lot more ethical and civilized than I am. All right, what is the order that we have today? We have 4 people on the line waiting for us. We got to start with Bionicle Boy. I love that name, Bionicle Boy. It's because I don't know if you know what a Bionicle is, John, but you know what Lego is?
Yeah, I used to know what Lego is.
You used to know what Lego is. Wait, where did he go?
I still do.
Okay. Well, Bionicle Boy, I just dragged him into the chat here, and he just disappeared. I don't know what happened. Maybe he'll join back, go into the waiting room in a second. Anyways, a Bionicle, this guy that was just in the call with us, his name was Bionicle Boy, and Bionicles are these Lego toys that appeared around the 2000, 2001. I was absolutely obsessed with those. You know, when it comes to people that are on the spectrum and them having their very specific interests, I was absolutely obsessed with collecting all the Bionicle sets. Let's see. What is going on? Bionicle Boy, he's typing. I suppose we'll just wait until he gets back. If there's anybody that's in the Discord that's watching the show right now, can help Bionicle Boy out. Oh, wait, there he is. Let me drag him back in. Bionicle Boy, you there?
Oh, hey, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on?
Okay, thank goodness. Sorry. So I guess you guys just messed up there. I must have clicked the leave chat button. Sorry. Let me just pull my.
Oh my goodness, what is he doing? Poor guy. Okay, he just dropped out of the chat again. You know what? We are going to go on to the next person that signed up, which I believe is Magic Juggler. Magic Juggler, you're on the Differently Wired show. Look alive. What's going on? What the heck is going on? People just keep leaving the... What is... People just keep leaving the call. I don't. Can somebody please explain to me what's going on? Here, I'm gonna try it. Bionicle Boy just joined back again. Bionicle Boy, what are you doing, dude?
Okay, I don't know, man. It's just kicking me off for some reason. I don't know why.
That's
Okay.
you're just. What is going on? Okay, you know what? I think it's something wrong with the Discord server because it just keeps kicking people out. You know what I'm gonna do, John? You see the waiting room above us?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we're gonna join that in just a second, but before you do, just wait 10 seconds because I'm gonna mute everybody in there, and then unmute accordingly. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Just give us a second, guys.
Sure,
Okay, I gotta mute everybody in here. I'm sorry, we're doing this
love
live.
You so much.
I know. I love you more. Hold on, I gotta mute. Is that everybody? Okay, everybody in here is muted. All right. Unfortunately, I don't know what's going on. We're going to have to do this from the waiting room. Let's see who just joined. Asperkek, I gotta mute you. Sorry, dude. John. Okay, John, I just moved you into the waiting room. We're going to have to do it from here because it just keeps kicking people out of the Differently Wired podcast room. All right, so first of all, we're going to mute Bionicle Boy. Bionicle Boy, we should be good now. What's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good. Technical difficulties, just the usual stuff. What's going on, dude?
Oh, not so much, just hanging out at my house right now. Just kind of waiting for you guys to do a call, not so much. Oh yeah, I just watched Nintendo Direct of Sans announcement. That was just legendary.
Wait, Sans was announced?
It's just a me costume, but it's Sans nonetheless.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, I'm just so excited. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
John, you don't know what he's referring to. It's this game called...
Yeah, so Sans is like a skeleton in a video game called Undertale. It's very popular, but oh gosh, just the music in that game. You look it up the music, and it's very good. I promise.
I gotta see what this is like, what it looks like, because the idea of Sans being a pixelated character joining Super Smash Brothers, but like you said, he is just on a Mii.
It's like basically like a mask or whatever, like as the head sort of, and like he has like the gas blaster is like a gun. That's basically it. But anyways.
And they can't add Goku. But anyways, Bionicle Boy, I just gotta let you know, for whatever reason, your voice is coming through distorted. So I just gotta unfortunately ask you to just submit whatever your question is, and then we unfortunately gotta move on. So what did you
hear me
want?
better now? Is this better? Is this better?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
All right. So anyways, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
All right. So what do you want to talk about?
Well, I just talking about this ADHD stuff right now. I have a pretty hard time with that. I do like my leg in class a lot, just that stuff, I guess. Well, sorry, my cat just so cute right now. Just right next to me, just fighting a little bit, but yeah, they just the ADHD stuff. Yeah, it's kind of annoying because like my focusing stuff, I can barely focus in class half the time. I have to have like music on most of the time to focus. Like actually I do Megalovania a lot. That's a really good song to focus stuff for, especially for like math and stuff.
Wait, what song?
Megalovania, the Sans theme?
Oh, is that...
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
Wow, I've never even played
Bionicle
Undertale.
Boy, I just recalled something that may be useful to you if music helps you focus. There's an app called Focus at Will, which is designed for ADHD. It makes music, you can pick out whatever kind of noises or music or sound you want, and it helps you focus because it acts like kind of gentle stimulant medication, but of course it's not drugs, it's just music. It's worth having a look at. Focus at Will, it's called.
Focus at Will. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, Focus at Will. And you can have it make a lot of noise, or gentle noise, or classical music.
Is it free?
Yeah, it's...
Is it free?
I think you can get it free for like 60 days, and then you got to pay something. And I also heard...
just make some new accounts, I guess, or something.
Well, I think you can also find pieces of it on the web, on YouTube and stuff that people have pirated. You can probably locate some of it there. But you can actually go to the real app and listen to it for a month or two. And it's good to help with concentration.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's very good. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, I just can't believe I'm finally here. It's just, gosh, your videos have been so helpful. Thank you so much, Mr. Max. You're very good.
You're welcome,
dude.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on.
Johnny Max too, I guess, but yeah, okay, but you need to get someone else now because I mean I don't have all my much to talk about. I just kind of wanted to talk about stuff like that. But oh yeah, also one more thing. I hate ADHD so much. Like I used to tap my foot all the time, and like one of the girls, call me Uggs or whatever, because like they would be wearing the Ugg boots, like the white girl stuff, and I was like tapping my foot, and they just told me call me Uggs, it just made me so angry. I swear, and this stupid Christian call me that. I swear. God.
All right. Unfortunately, but I don't know what just happened there. He left the waiting room. Anyways, I want to thank Bionicle Boy for coming on. He actually did say something that sort of, once again, like what John just said about validating something that's going on inside my head. How music really helps to focus my attention. I do that all the time whenever I'm working on my own YouTube videos.
There's good music going.
Hold on. Sorry, Audron, I gotta mute you because we were trying to do this the normal way, but unfortunately technical difficulties. What I tried to do every time I'm working on videos or writing scripts for stuff, I always put on music that helps me focus my attention. What I find has helped me best is when I listen to the Silent Hill soundtracks, anything from the first 4 games. It all helps me immensely. But yeah, also try out that Focus at Will app. I'm actually going to check that out in the coming days when I'm working on my next video. And if you guys want to know what my next video is, make sure you look into my community posts so you can get a little teaser there. All right, that out of the way, let's move on to, let's see, Magic Juggler. Magic Juggler, you're unmuted. What's going on, dude? Magic?
All right.
There
Okay.
it is. What's going on?
There we go.
Okay.
Hey, you can hear me now. Wow, this was kind of like herding cats.
Wait, what happened?
No, I mean like all the voices.
Oh.
Now you hear me.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I suppose, like, if you're talking to everybody, like, I have everybody muted, so I imagine everybody else is still talking. If everybody else is still talking, can you please just try to keep it down just so that we can keep the show going? Anyways, Magic Juggler, what do you want to talk about?
I think there is lag on this.
There is? What do you mean? Like, you can't hear me properly? Yeah, I think you're right. You know what? Rickety, God bless you, dude. I'm not sure if you're listening.
12
he
seconds lag. I
Wow.
counted the difference.
Wow, Jesus. Okay, you know what, John? What we're going to do next week is, like, Rickety suggested that we try this format, but it's just causing me way too many problems and personal stress. So we're going to go back to the way things were originally when we just did the calls. Screw it. All right, Magic Juggler, I'm not sure how the delay is right now. Maybe you can still hear me, but in order to keep things stable, I'm just going to have to ask what I asked of Bionicle Boy just a second ago. Could you please just state whatever it is that you wanted to talk about, and then John and I can respond accordingly, please? Just give it a second, guys. He's probably just catching up.
Sounds like in a car.
Yeah, it's... Okay, you know what? I'm just going to have to move on to the next caller because unfortunately I don't think he can hear us well.
Can we reboot this call maybe? Or like reboot the waiting room?
Yeah, probably. Okay. Jeez. This is so unbelievably annoying. Let's see. I'm going to try this. Okay, John, I'm going to move back into the Differently Wired podcast room with you. I'm going to drag your name in there, and then I'm going to try and drag Flaming Shadow in there with us. See if the same problem happens again where they get kicked out.
Okay.
Okay, let's try that. Okay, he's in that room. I'm in that room, and Flaming Shadow. Flaming Shadow, you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for the love of God. Jesus,
Don't worry.
Father,
I
Son, Holy Spirit, Spiritus Sancti, whatever. Just please don't kick him out. All right, what do you want to talk about? Damn it! This is driving me absolutely insane. You know what? Okay. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to... Why people keep leaving. Oh my God.
We're obviously having difficulty with this Discord machine.
Yeah, Discord. See, the problem with Discord, guys, is that it works so well when it comes to doing podcasts or just like calls online, streams. But whenever more other, this is so true for like everyday life. Whenever other people get involved, it all just falls apart. I'm being facetious somewhat when I say that, but not really. Goodness sakes. You know what? Yeah, Stranded 360 just made a good suggestion. Instead of doing the whole call-in segment today, how would you feel about just responding to one of the emails that we got sent in, John? Just
Don't mind at all.
finish.
I think that's a great recovery.
Yeah, that is a great recovery. Let's see. I think we all only have time for one question. Sorry to anybody else that might be listening to this live.
No, that's a great idea, Max.
Okay,
Perfect.
so this question comes to us from Carl Victor Engstrom. Actually, before I read it, I'm just going to put the live chat on the screen for everybody to see. There we go. All right, so this question, unfortunately, guys, you can't see it, but I will read it to you. This question comes to us from Carl Victor Engstrom. He writes, "Hi, Max and John. I am a 39-year-old male now recently received my diagnosis. I have been following your initial series and podcast with great interest. I have high-functioning autism with ADHD PI. What does PI mean, John?
Primarily inattentive. It means you're a shy person or sort of introverted.
Oh, okay. All right. So he says, I have high-functioning autism with ADHD, primarily inattentive. One conundrum that has occupied me is the ADHD symptoms that are not part of the DSM-5 criteria, namely emotional dysregulation. Tom Brown categorizes them as 1. Frustration and anger, 2. Hurt feelings, 3. Gotta have it now, 4. What if? The gotta have it now has been especially bothersome for my financial situation, but a Concerta Stratera combo has remedied that to a large degree but not extinguished it. Being a truth seeker and fact-finding individual, I have surveyed 6 to 7 health professionals in the neurodiversity field. If these behaviors are related to autism or ADHD, and I'm running approximately 66 to 33 split, and 2 persons leaning towards the autism side talking about impulsivity instead of emotional dysregulation in these instances, what is your opinion? The argument for autism is that it in itself presents emotional dysregulation en masse, and e.g. money management can span from penny pincher to big spender on the spectrum. Kind regards, John Dow.
It works for ADHD as well. There are a lot of overlaps between high-functioning autism and ADHD, and impulsivity is strongly ADHD. It's one of the key characteristics of ADHD. And the gotta have it now thing is part of impulsivity. You see this red thing, this shiny thing, this beautiful thing. It's mine. I want it. I need to have it. So it actually works for both. But I wouldn't worry quite so much. I'm bothered by his worrying about what is the precise exact definition. I think it's better to look at the things that bother you and get those working in a productive way. So in effect, the label may be helpful, but it can only take you so far. What you really want to do is say, okay, if I am spending too much money, what strategies can I put in place to help this manage itself? Now, typically, what I find is good is to pull in resources. Let's say you got a friend, a spouse, a sibling who'll be your wing person, and they will help you make decisions about finance or make decisions about whatever. So you consult them. You take advantage of them shamelessly, exploiting their good wishes, their goodwill, so that you can go ahead and make good decisions, about what you're impulsive about.
I obviously I agree with everything you said, John. It's just that's weird. Why wouldn't it be included as one of the criteria in the DSM?
Dysregulation is a criteria for ADHD in a lot of writers.
Right, but like he said that the issue of wanting something right now, that's not something that's attributed to ADHD. Like, why would that be the case?
No, that's impulsivity. That is impulsivity. So, for instance, if you go to a store and you see something that's shiny and good, you want it now. So impulse makes you get this thing now. It's one left glove with diamonds on it. It's useless to you, but you want it. So,
Oh, okay.
10 plus makes you go.
So I suppose just in regards to Carl Victor, he might just be slightly mistaken in thinking that it's actually attributed to ADHD when it's actually attributed to something else.
Well, the difficulty for him is that he's a very intelligent person and he wants precision in these responses. And the diagnostic criteria try to be precise, but they're kind of an average of precision. He's brighter than the diagnostic criteria would indicate. Mm-hmm. So he's looking for a more scientific, more logical answer to this, and the field is kind of elusive. When it comes to differently wired, one needs compassion and empathy and a lot of patience, because it's not really easy to tell one thing from another thing.
Yeah, that's certainly the case for me. Just very quickly, Necrotoxin in the chat right now. Guys, I want you to put in some praises there for Necrotoxin. She's the one that's been doing a lot of my artwork for my channel lately, and she's been very kind to me in our private conversations, so please show her some love. You know what, John? Because I know you have to go in a second anyways.
I do,
and we're not doing the call-in segment. I think we're just going to end it now. And I got to go talk to everybody that's in the waiting room so I can explain to them what happened. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Differently Wired Show. I just want to remind you guys, again, if you want to send in a mailbag topic, we will get to mailbag again next week. To do that, all you have to do is send it to us. No, wrong graphic. Send it to us to this email address that you see on the screen right now, maxderrat@yahoo.ca. And also, I promise we will have the call-in segment back to normal next week. Where God bless you, Rickety, the one who suggested it. He's one of my moderators. I love him. He's been doing a great work, but this is just not working for us. I promise we'll be back and giving everybody equal time to speak next week. With that out of the way, John, I want to thank you as always for your wisdom and support of the show. And as always, we'll be back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, I just want to remind you guys to stay yellow.